One last breath. Let me say, hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking, maybe 6 feet ain't so far down. Hold me now. Oh, hey Vivian, you know you're late, right? Does that mean I get a discount? Fine, geez, what a little attitude that you have got on you. What's this? Well, I mean, it is very green and, well, it kind of seems like thick snot, and is it glowing? Hold your little horses. Can I at least have a sample? Thank you. Vivian, that smells like bleach and iodine. Okay. Oh, that tastes like bleach and iodine. Vivian, what did you guys use for that? Yeah, I guess I still want it. Here. Have a good night. God. I hope I don't go blind.
It's a Friday once again.
Hello and welcome back, my fellow freaks. I hope you've all had a great week. Also, I hope you don't mind. I have this is my second take. I almost said it again. my Miami Dolphins blanket. We're gonna try and get a kitty cat friend beside us. They like to lay in this spot and they especially like laying on this blanket, so we'll see. There's one over there being very defiant right now. Look at you! You look smug! Get on the blanket! You love this blanket! As you can see, Vivian is not with us this week. She said she had to do a few more moonshine deliveries, so she's gonna be back later this evening. But like I said, I hope you have all had a great week, and this week we are looking at what is accidentally my very first Troma picture, and that is Redneck Zombies from 1987, directed by Pericles Lunas. How do you say that? Pericles. Put it on the screen.
Pericles.
And this film initially started as just one of those really random TubiTV finds that I like last week, right? Last week was a very random TubiTV find, and I thought that's what this was, Redneck Zombies. I thought this would just be another random goofy B-movie find, but no, what I have done is accidentally made Redneck Zombies my very first Troma picture. What is Troma? Is it just a distributor? I know it's a distributor, but do people consider it like a subgenre of horror? Do they consider it like its own category? What should I refer to it to? If people talk about it like they consider it a subgenre. So, but anyway, I've never seen a Troma picture. However, Troma is a word or a term or distributor, subgenre, whatever you want to call it. Troma films have been recommended. They've been recommended to me to death by people in my life. Like, way before I started this channel, way before anything else, people have always recommended that I watch Troma films, and I've just never gotten the opportunity. I haven't even seen Toxic Avenger. That's sacrilege, I know. And right before I watched this is when I found out it was a Troma. Actually, the way I found out this movie is a Troma film is because a bunch of reviews on IMDb was referencing it in, I guess, in reference to the whole filmography of Troma. And then through there, I found out I actually have a shit ton of Troma films that are on my watch list, like a lot. And majority of them I didn't even know were Troma films. And let me say, after Redneck Zombies, which may or may not be a fair representation of I'm just gonna call it a subgenre, okay? So I don't know how good of a representation Redneck Zombies is to the Troma genre. But if many of the other Troma films are even like remotely close to what I experienced watching Redneck Zombies, I think I might have a new obsession on my hands. I think it's very likely that Troma could become my #1 top favorite subgenre, because, oh god, listen, I know it's not the first time I've said it on the channel, but like, this is literally everything I've been looking for. It has everything. It has everything. But before we go into this, again, keep in mind, this is my very first Troma picture. I don't know a single thing about Troma. I don't know how it started. I don't know like what the first pictures was. I don't know the founders. I don't know anything about Troma. So this is me telling you, please educate me in the comments. I would love to learn more about this company or subgenre, whatever it is. I want more. Educate me. And for better or worse, my very first Troma picture happens to be Redneck Zombies. So let's discuss Redneck Zombies. But first, if you are new here, hi, my name is STARGUTZZZ. Any kind of crashing or loud noises that you may hear going on in the background, those are my cats. And my movie reviews tend to be more of a discussion of elements that I think are good or bad about a film, rather than just giving you the straight play-by-play of everything that happens. So in other words, I try to refrain from spoilers as much as possible, but they will arise as they pertain to the discussion I want to have with the film. Is it just me or is this music loud? If you would like to watch Redneck, I almost called them Redneck Vampires. If you would like to watch Redneck Zombies, before the rest of this review, let me first give you 2 little warnings. The very end has an essay scene, but here's the thing, it's not like graphic or anything like that. I didn't even catch that it happened. Like the first 2 times that I watched this, I didn't even know that it happened. It's a very low quality B movie, and it doesn't get depicted very well, but it's there. So I'll go ahead and throw it out there. It does happen. But more so, we do see some like factory slaughterhouse footage of some baby chicks. Nothing graphic. The most graphic thing is when they like do the air in the mouth. But still, it took me back to that time where my school very regularly showed me slaughterhouse films during health class. And it did make me a little uneasy because it's been a few years since I've been forced to watch that stuff, so I was like, oh, how much are you gonna show? But anyway, I wanted to give those 2 warnings, those 2 little things that some people might be a little sensitive to. But anyway, if you would like to watch it before the rest of this review, or if you want to go out and watch it after the review, you can do so on TubiTV, our best friend, who we are manifesting a sponsorship with. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm putting out into the universe that Tubi wants me. They don't know it yet, but they want me. The link for that will be in the description below, just so it's that much easier for you to go out and watch this movie. And with that, let's begin. After a military vehicle wrecks, an overweight redneck steals a barrel of chemical toxic waste, mistaking it for a Christmas present. The barrel instead ends up in the hands of a family of moonshiners who accidentally spill some waste into their mixture. But here's the thing, then again, they were planning to use the barrel as a still, so they were getting contaminated either way. It doesn't matter if it spilled into it. They were using the barrel it was gonna happen. This toxic moonshine ends up turning its recipient into a flesh-eating zombie, all of who seek out hunger in a group of unlucky campers. I really want to start with the fact that I am so obsessed with this concept. The concept of moonshiners finding chemical waste, being like, whatever, and then using it in moonshine and distributing it, and everyone turning into zombies. I'm sorry, but as a little Appalachian girl from West Virginia, I love that. I'm so obsessed with that. That is just like it's a cool, unique, creative, like fun concept. I'm obsessed. Also, let me just let you know, it's extremely homemade. A lot of moments just reminded me of whenever I was a kid and would have a Halloween party, and me and my friends would just like record some bullshit in the yard and call it a movie. This movie, and it really embraces its B-ness on its sleeve. Like it's accepting and embracing of the fact that it is a low budget B movie, and it does not apologize for it ever. It knows exactly what it is, and it embraces that. Hell yeah, brother. And before we leave the synopsis, man, there's one thing I want to mention that I wasn't sure where to include anywhere else. And that is the fact that Redneck Zombies, they have so many Texas Chainsaw Massacre references. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorite movies of all time. And the fun, quirky, silly little parodies that this film does towards Texas Chainsaw Massacre, oh my god, it makes me love it even more. I do want to highlight my favorite one. I know we're just in the synopsis, but like, where else am I gonna put this? Probably in the next section, but still. My favorite parody that they do of Texas Chainsaw is the shaving hitchhiker.
Barbershop, eh? You working at that place? Yeah, I work there. I'm the shaver. You know, I heard about them new electric shavers. No, they're no good. They're no good. My brother, he gives haircuts. He gives me real good. We give you a shave and a haircut for free.
And here's the thing, I don't even know if I can call it my favorite scene because this movie has so many good scenes. I want to call that my favorite scene because I love it, and I love the parody that it's a perfect parody, okay? Okay, I needed to throw that in there before we get on to the actual discussion. If you have never heard me say this before, maybe this is like your first video on the channel, maybe you haven't seen many videos, and that's fine. So if you haven't heard me say this before, I'm gonna say it now. I love bad movies, and I have a very strong bias towards films that are very B and cheesy and homemade. I have such a strong bias towards films that are homemade. I need you to understand, okay? I will watch a homemade film over some piece of Hollywood shit any day. I don't care. I always like it more. Always. So if you are new here, understand that about me. So because I love bad movies and because I love stuff that is very cheap and homemade looking, Redneck Zombies is my heaven. Redneck Zombies is my heaven. To a whole lot of other people, this movie is garbage, and I understand there are people out there who have trouble watching something that looks cheap and homemade. I get it. You're the same audience that won't watch black and white movies. Just say it. But if you are a fellow freak, I expect you to hang with movies like this, okay? If you only want to hear about good movies, I might not be the reviewer for you. And I'll get this out of the way first, like I did with last week's movie. Yes, it's bad, okay? It is melodramatic. It is cheesy and corny and goofy, okay? But I like it. I know that I like it. I get it. That it is not good. I understand that. Yeah, but it is good though. Let's talk about the acting, okay? Let's talk about all of these bad elements that also make it good. One of which is the acting. The acting is The acting is so over-exaggerated and just goofy. A lot of it really reminds me of when you're in high school theater and the way teenagers act, how they over-enunciate their lines or overact, over-exaggerate.
Since he seems to be the only one of you assholes who's still thinking clearly. I'm right on the edge of clawing my eyes out.
That's how every single actor or performer, that's how every single performer in this film is. Every single, to a cartoonish degree.
My still? You want to use my still? My still ain't no good. You said so 1,000 times yourself. 30 minutes, you still ain't no good.
And I'm sorry, but I gotta say it. I have to say it. It reminds me of John Waters also, the acting. I have to say it, but I think the goofy, over-exaggerated acting, it really shines with the campers. At first, I didn't really know how I felt about the campers, but then once shit started hitting the fan and some of them started dying off, the campers that are still alive, their reactions, incredible. Absolutely stunning. Their acting goes through the roof to the point that one of them, Bob, now I noticed it my first watch, but I wasn't sure of it my first watch. The second watch, I'm like, okay, I'm sure. Once Bob starts freaking out, they straight up just put him in a wig where his hair is like crazy spiked up constantly. And listen, all of this over-exaggerated goofy acting, you know, it's not eased by the fact that the film is very liberal with its use of sound effects. And I'm not talking about like, oh, like a normal sound effect. You know, like something that makes sense. I mean, like, boing, that kind of stuff. Boingy, goofy, cartoony sound effects. A lot of this movie is very cartoonish and comic bookish, and from the very little bit that I know of some other Troma films like Nukem High or Toxic Avenger, even though I haven't seen them, just by looking at them, I feel like I could say the same thing, that there is like an element or an inspiration of like comic bookness to it. Would I be accurate in having that assumption? Let me know. But this film is so, there's not a single thing serious happening. Actually, there's a lie. There is one serious thing happening, but I'll talk about it here in a second. I do have it in my notes. Every element of this movie, from the acting, the editing, the writing, the soundtrack, the sound effects, everything about this is unserious, cartoony, goofy, silly nonsense. And yet, despite it being so silly and goofy and outlandish and melodramatic, how many adjectives could I use to define this film? Despite that, it's also it is so incredibly grody and bloody and graphic, and more on that later. It has its own section. And as I mentioned, I think especially because of these over-exaggerated and silly moments, and the writing especially is like obvious. It's not good writing, okay? But I also don't hate it. Like, I don't know. It's very obviously, it gives me the vibes of like a high school theater club. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from the dialogue and the writing. And I think because of this, Redneck Zombies ends up having so many iconic moments. There's so many scenes and moments in this film that when I'm rewatching it, I'm excited to see the scene again. Redneck Zombies surprisingly just has so many good scenes and so many good lines. Do you know that I'm going to go the rest of my life saying shit like, hope I don't go blind?
Oh well, hope I don't go blind.
Or, we gotta bury Teresa.
We've gotta bury Teresa.
And oh my god, there's too many lines to even list. I couldn't even give you a list. It's like almost every other thing coming out of a character's mouth is iconic. But despite this, I think a lot of the like best moments definitely come whenever the fat redneck is on the screen or whenever our final girl Lisa is on the screen. Now, the fat redneck, I know he has a name and I think it starts with an F. I was literally never able to catch what it was. It was like theater. But any scene that has him or Lisa is a good scene. It's like a really good, memorable scene. And then also, what? Wait, is that Matthew Watson from Super Mega?
Yeah, I like knockers too.
I just feel like this film is the perfect definition of one of those movies that's so bad it's good. It's not the movie to define it, but it's definitely a list of films that helps to define something that is so bad it's good. At least in my opinion. It's cheesy, it is corny, it is childish, and it admits it. Never once does it deny what it is, and I love that. However, despite its comedy features, it definitely does not forget that it's a horror movie. Again, when we get into the practical effects and the gore, I will be going into this a little bit more, but I have to share right now in this section one of my favorite elements of horror that they have used in this film, which is psychedelic horror. Again, maybe psychedelic horror is something that is common to the Troma subgenre, right? I wouldn't be surprised, but let me tell you, as somebody who, one, didn't really realize this was their first Troma picture going into it, and two, it's called Redneck Zombies. Okay, I was not expecting there to be elements of psychedelic horror taking place. Are you kidding me? There are two moments that I do admit that they use this cheesy, simple, easy video editing technique, which every 10-year-old would have been able to do on like Windows Movie Maker back in the day. It's like effects like that. However, the way it's done in Redneck Zombies is so effective, even though it's cheesy and simple and like whatever. And I think to a few people it'll come off as goofy. But to me, I found it to be really effective. And while I was watching them, I was actually kind of creeped out. Now granted, I was under the influence, so it was really wigging me out. But I think even if I wasn't, I would have been a little unsettled by some of the imagery taking place in the two psychedelic horror sequences, just because of the editing. And it made me wonder, I wonder if this is what Lucy thought he was doing with his editing and just failed. The second use of the psychedelic horror editing, even though again, it's cheesy, it's easy, it's simple, and yet I think the way that it's used in this film is like effective and can be creepy. And my favorite use of it is the second instance. Now I won't go into specifics or anything like that so that you're not spoiled, but I will describe it as this. There is a character who is tripping on acid, and then they get asked to open up a dead body for like an autopsy, and it's this person tripping on acid going through some guts. Kino. And then also just a little note, as I mentioned earlier, there is one part of seriousness in this film, which also aids to the horror and the like eerie, creepy tone. And he's Mr. Tobacco Man. This character is the only serious part of the film, and it comes across so eerie and off-putting because the tone of him and his presence is just like completely different from the entire rest of the film. I thought Mr. Tobacco Man was so creepy and foreboding, and especially because the scene we see him, he's talking to the three boys. We'll get into the whole three boys thing right in the next section. He's talking to, let's say, three children. He's talking to the three children of the Moonshiner family, and they all, even though they appear to be grown adults, they all act like children, like little baby children. And definitely the way Mr. Tobacco Man talked to them makes it feel like they are little itty bitty children. And oh my god, he's so ominous and foreboding and describing to what is essentially children how they're going to get addicted to his tobacco and need it until like their gums start to burn and their teeth fall out and they want to stop, they won't be able to, and they're gonna keep coming back to him until they die.
And your teeth will fall out. You'll cry. And you won't stop. You'll just keep on dipping back in and dipping. Your mouth will start hurting, start burning.
What a dark scene. It's like the darkest scene in the entire... The tone of Mr. Tobacco Man, that very short little moment, is completely different from the rest of the movie. I love Mr. Tobacco Man. I wish he had more of a presence, but oh well. Now, as I said, Redneck Zombies is obviously way more of a comedy, like a B-movie comedy horror type deal. And there are many forms of comedy that this film uses, and it lets you know that it is not afraid to offend. And because of that, I am very surprised by the character Elly May. If you've seen Redneck Zombie, how many people have seen this fucking movie? How many people are gonna know what I am already talking about? Elly May is the most surprising part of this film. So of the family of rednecks, it's 2 sons and a daughter. Hey buddy, you wanna come sit on the Miami Dolphin blanket? Yeah, there you go. Got a cat. Anyway, there's no like easy tiptoe around way for me to say this because I feel like if I try, it's just gonna sound more confusing. So I'm just gonna be blunt. Elly May's character is portrayed by a grown man who is very like masculine and hairy. He has chest hair, he has arm hair, he has a beard, who is not trying to be a woman except in that of his like behaviors and mannerisms. He speaks like a lady and acts like a lady, but visually it's like adapted men's clothes to look a little more feminine. That's what we're working with. And the entire joke of Elly May is that it is a person who wants to be a woman but is very manly presenting, which is like it's a common trope or cliche or caricature to use, especially like this is the 80s, okay? And it's definitely the joke that this very masculine, especially a redneck, this redneck masculine dude wants to be a girl, wants to have a female name, and has a soft voice like a woman. And yet despite this being like the joke, at the same time, Elly May is never disrespected. The joke is that it's a manly guy with a soft voice trying to be a woman, and yet they never once disrespect her. Like, the character, I guess, is what I mean, is handled with so much respect by the film crew. Because one of the last films that I can remember that has a trans woman in it was Gutterballs, which was one of the most hateful, bitter, disgusting films I've ever seen. But here it is not. Nothing about Elly May and her portrayal and the fact that she's a manly redneck who wants to be a woman, even though that's the joke. It's like she's never the butt of a joke. She's never the butt of a joke, and she's never disrespected. And I just found that so interesting because, especially for the time, and especially for this being a low budget flick, I mean, you're fully expecting for the trans character to not be handled properly. But I feel like Elly May is handled great in this film. For example, we do know what Elly May's birth name is, and that is Billy Bob. However, there's nobody in this film has an issue with calling her Elly May. In the very beginning, there's twice, I believe, that the father, who is Jed-Pa, I'll probably just call him Pa. In the beginning, Pa still calls her Billy Bob twice, and both times she corrects him. It's Elly May, and I asked you nicely.
Just get the dang thing open up, Billy Bob.
Elly May, Daddy.
I asked you nice.
And after the second time that Pa is corrected that Billy Bob wants to be called Elly May, Pa has zero issue ever calling Elly May again. It is in the very beginning that we learn Elly May's real name is Billy Bob. She corrects her father twice, and then it is literally never an issue again. And the thing is, with a character like this, that would have been the running gag. That would have been the running joke throughout the whole thing. Nobody's calling her by the correct name. But it's including background characters that we don't even know. At some point, Elly May starts delivering moonshine to the citizens around town, people that they know, selling it. And every single person that she comes across, every single one, they all call her Elly.
Hey, Elly. Hey, Schmurd. Hi, Miss Ashley.
Land's sakes, Elly May, I expected you to be here last night.
Hi, Elly.
And I don't know, I'm just shocked by that, I guess. By that respectful, like, representation. And also, can I say, despite this moonshiner family being just like a bunch of backwoods rednecks who I think this might be taking place in Appalachia just because of one line. But Elly May's entire family, despite being backwoods rednecks, every single one of them support her and call her by the right name. I don't know. It's just, it's far from what I was expecting, because typically you're gonna get like a pretty distasteful and hateful representation of a trans woman, and I think it was handled, I think at least, Elly May's character is handled with a lot of like respect in this film. And again, I wasn't expecting that from a movie called Redneck Zombies. She never gets treated differently because of the way she acts or anything. I love Elly May, but again, I am completely unfamiliar with Troma. I don't know, maybe Troma is more progressive, maybe they do lean into gay themes. If they do, educate me, but I didn't know. And so I was actually like really happily surprised by the fact of Elly May. But also there's like three or four gay characters in this movie, which also leads me to question, is Troma gay friendly? Educate me. I would love to know. However, overall, the biggest highlight that Redneck Zombies has is its practical effects. Dude, the practical effects and the gore are it's everything I've ever wanted. This just, I need to like propel myself into a complete Troma obsession now. And listen, while the practical effects can be kind of goofy at times, never once does it lack in skill. There were actually like quite a few impressive and skillful shots, such as there's this moment where a woman's like, you get a very up close shot of a woman's neck being torn open by a zombie, and the way it tears and like the little blood squirts, oh, it's good. It's a really good effect. And then another one that's really good is like, there's a man on the like a real forest floor, and half of his body has been ripped from him, but his upper half is still like writhing around while zombies eat his guts. Again, like really skillful practical effect. At least I think so. Am I crazy? I don't know. And it's not just the blood and the gore that I like from this movie, okay? Yes, I do like the blood and the gore. The way that the blood like squirts and oh, how artistic, man. But it's not just the blood and the gore. Dude, ooze and goo. They use ooze and goo. Ooze like slime and goo and like pus, and the only thing I can think to call it is like a grody boy comic. I don't know. So much about this film feels boyish. Where last week's film, Cinderella's Curse, where I said this is a girl film, this movie is a boy film. I know I'm a girl, but when I think of boyhood, this is what I think of. Ooze and goo and guts and blood and freaky looking zombies and just like immature childish humor and comic book sounds, and the amount of just goop and slime and random fluids that are also intertangled with the blood and the guts. Jesus Christ, is this everything that I have been looking for? I feel like it is so hard to come by a horror movie that doesn't mind using ooze and goo. It's always just blood. It's always just blood and gore. There are other, hey fam, there's other liquids we can use. And honestly, I love it. This is everything I've been looking for. I feel like Troma is starting to be the answer to my prayers. I understand why so many people have recommended that I watch Troma films now. I love ooze, I love goo, I love gross, I love grody, I love gnarly. Give me something sick to look at. Doesn't even have to be somebody like disembodied, okay? It's just like a bunch of snot and slime and toxicity and like, I don't know, I crave it. I crave the nasty, and this movie is nasty. Here's a point that I started touching on a little bit ago when I was talking about how, you know, even though this is a comedy film, this is every angle. This is more of a comedy than something that's gonna scare you. I think though, if you show this to a child, they would be scared by it because the zombies themselves, I think, can come across as scary. Just depends. It's a very silly and lighthearted movie at every angle that you look at it, but it does not forget the fact that it is a horror movie. And a lot of its horror comes in how graphic it is, how graphic the killings especially are. And like in terms of your typical horror movie, your typical slasher or zombie flick, this is way more graphic, like way more graphic than your normal slasher or zombie film that you're gonna come across, especially ones that are very mainstream. And way more use of practical effects too. There are practical effects everywhere in this film. So if you like practical effects, maybe check this one out. And because we're talking about the gross grodiness, can I get gross for a second? I think what makes the gore in this film so satisfying for me is the fact that they're combining the gore with those sound effects. Remember those? I think what just makes it so satisfying for me is the pop sound. A lot of the times when blood is like squirting intensely out of a person, there is a, oh wait, can I do a good pop? A nice, satisfying, like squeezy, ooh, it itches my brain. It itches my brain so good. It feels like, okay, let me explain one of them to you. There's a guy who gets his head crushed by a zombie, and when his head gets crushed, not only is blood all over the place, like a volcano, but they pair it with that very satisfying pop noise. That is my Dr. Pimple Popper. It's exactly like watching a pimple getting popped. I like it. That's my bit of grossness. I like that. Man, this movie really satisfies every way that I'm a freak. It really scratches every itch in my little brain. I just don't think I've felt this way about a film since we watched The Blood Factory Bloodletting. I think that was maybe the last time that I felt like this kind of way about a movie. And let's just say if all Troma is anything remotely like this, or even somehow better, it's over. Boys, it's over for me. Overall, I think if Redneck Zombies is what someone would consider a fair representation of the subgenre of Troma, just consider me hooked. This is everything I want. It's everything I desire. It has everything. It has goo, it has guts, it has blood. It has like a very creative and like hearty spirit behind it too. And it's very lighthearted and fun, man. I don't know. Everything about this movie. This movie is my freak. This is my kind of freak. Redneck Zombies is very obviously not going to be for everyone. While my rating will be biased, I will tell you, like, if you have a hard time sitting through stuff that is obviously cheaply made, homemade, or if you can't just, basically if you don't like fun, don't watch this movie. I don't know. It's goofy, it's overdramatic, it's immature and childish. It is a bad movie, okay? You're right. It is a bad movie, but it was never trying to be a good movie. It's very obviously never trying to be a good movie. I think it wears, again, on its sleeves that it is a bad film. I think Redneck Zombies actually ended up just exceeding my expectations somehow. I don't know. When you get on Tubi and you come across a film called Redneck Zombies from the 80s, I mean, what is there to expect? This definitely exceeded my expectations. It's nothing like how I thought. Well, it's a little bit like how I thought it would be, but it has a lot of elements that I just wasn't imagining would be prevalent at all, such as the psychedelic horror, and the representation of Elly May. I would choose to watch a film like Redneck Zombies any day, every day, over whatever the new overhyped mainstream bullshit is. This, I don't know, this is just my taste. To me, a very low budget, cheesy B movie such as Redneck Zombies, when I watch it, to me, it has more heart, it has more passion, and it just, I don't know, there's something about it. It has more love, more than like some big Hollywood production. I would choose this. I would watch this over anything else, any day. But this is my taste, okay? This is what my preference is. And because of that, Redneck Zombies will be receiving an A tier. No apology, just like the film, no apologies. This is who I am and I can't help it. I would watch this, I would rewatch this film a million times over so many other things that I've seen. I actually can't wait to watch it again, honestly. Incredible special practical effects. It's so goofy. And listen, the type of humor isn't gonna be for everyone. A lot of you are going to cringe at it. There are a few moments where I cringed, but overall, it's just fun. It's fun, lighthearted, and gory, and gross. I mean, what more could you possibly want in a movie? And with that, we are done with yet another movie review. Thank you guys so much if you stuck around all the way until the very end. If you liked this video, please make sure that you stab that like button. It is a free and easy way to help support this channel. Also, if you have any films, especially like more obscure ones or short films, I'm starting to have a collection of short films that I would like to review in the future. Please leave them in the comments below and maybe you'll see them show up in a future video. And if you just like this video so much that you want to subscribe and see me ramble about more B movies, obscure movies, disturbing cinema, what have you, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified every time I make a new upload, which new uploads are typically every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the screen as well are some of my socials if you would like to follow me on there. And again, just one last thank you so much for making it all the way until the very end. Our time here is precious, and when you think about it, we really don't have a whole lot of time. So the fact that you have used your time and spent it with me, listening to me talk about Redneck Zombies, I very sincerely thank you for being here. Thank you for being present and using your time to watch my crazy bullshit video. If I do not see you in any kind of post, then I will see you in the next video. But until then, please have a good night and stay safe out there.
If you ever mess around our still again furred merts, you're gonna be picking buckshot from where the sun don't shine.
You mean Antarctica?
Yeah.
Well, the sun don't shine in Antarctica. All they got down there are them funny little penguins. Those big polar bears. Scared myself.